Welcome back. Today is shoulder day. Today we're going to go over one of the most often injured joints in the human body. It is the shoulder. Shoulder is a multi-planar joint, meaning it moves in multiple different ranges of motion. Probably has some of the most range of motion in the entire body. There's a little known saying that goes with shoulders, and it is,
with great mobility comes great responsibility.
Although that is true, the true saying is, with great mobility comes less stability. So the shoulder is a bit of a double-edged sword. You get a lot of range of motion with the joint, but it is capable of dislocating and separating the most, and so that's why we see that with the shoulder. So let's go through the four basic ranges of motion that we would want you guys to assess to see if you guys have healthy and happy shoulders so that you guys can do the sports that you want to do. So without further ado, let's go through them. The first range of motion that Hayden's going to go through is shoulder flexion. When Hayden brings his arm up into shoulder flexion, the arm should basically cover the ear or get past the ear. Make sure you're not cheating with too much back extension, stuff like that. A stiff range of motion in the shoulder is when it kind of blocks and stops up here. What you're going to notice is quite a bit of impingement up in the top of the shoulder, and that's because what ends up happening is you get a tight axis of rotation from the tissues underneath the shoulder, particularly the subscapularis, the infraspinatus, and the posterior capsule. So that's a healthy shoulder flexion. Let's go into the second range of motion, which is shoulder abduction. So in this, you want to be able to abduct and bring your arm all the way up. The bicep should touch the side of the head. You should make sure that your shoulder is nice and relaxed in this range. If you got a little bit of space here, then it means that once again, you are tight in the inferior and posterior complex. The infraspinatus, potentially the posterior delt, and the inferior capsule. The third range of motion that we assess is horizontal adduction. When Hayden brings his arm across the body, we are expecting that these posterior capsules, the infraspinatus, the posterior delt, to stretch out. A normal range of motion for horizontal adduction is to be able to get that bicep to touch the chest. Make sure you're not cheating and holding it down into here, because that's not going to really cut it. Okay, the fourth range of motion is a combo move of hand behind back. With this procedure, Hayden has to extend, internally rotate, and adduct the arm to get the hand to come back and touch the posterior shoulder blade. This is called a good range of motion and a positive Apley's maneuver. What we don't want to see with this range of motion is that the shoulder blade wings out and that his arm chicken wings out like this. This typically means that the posterior capsule is not rotating enough and allowing enough range of motion with that. And make sure that you're sitting up or standing up tall when you're assessing this, because one of the cheating maneuvers is just to flex forward, and once again you can see, you can get that whole shoulder blade out, you can pull it off the rib cage. Alright, so those are the four ranges of motion, okay? We need to get clearance and full range of motion in all of them, and these are the four exercises that we do. So let's go through them. First one is forward wall walking. So you walk your fingers all the way up the wall, get your elbow to rest against the wall, lean into it. Once again, you're going to get some impingement on the top of the shoulder, and bend your knees. This is going to get a good range of motion. It's going to hurt a little bit. Remember, with stretching, we want a little bit of discomfort, but no pain. How long do we hold these for?
At least 3 to 5 minutes.
Yeah, that's the basic for stretching. You got to get over that 2-minute hump. That's when myofascial changes occur. So that is front wall walking. The second one is wall walking to the side. So you're going to face perpendicular to a wall. You're going to walk that elbow up. And what you want to do here is get that elbow as high as you can, and then bend your knees and follow through. What you should see here is a good arcing stretch through your armpit. You're going to get a stretch through your pec minor and your serratus group, maybe your lats, stuff like that. Once again, don't stretch into pain. If it's hurting too much up in the top shoulder, then back out of it and just reassess and get a decent range of motion. Okay, third stretch is a classic pec stretch. We do 3 angles of pec stretching, so let's go through the first one. You come through a corner, a door frame, a wall, and you take a step forward and you lean in, get a good stretch through the pec. With your arm at 45 degrees high, what we're going to get is typically a stretch in the pec minor or at the lower fibers. You hold that for 1 or 2 minutes and then go into the second stretch. Arm is parallel to the floor. Lean in, get a good stretch. Make sure to rotate the body out here to kind of open up that chest as much as you can. And this middle range will hit the middle fibers in the pec. Remember, the pec is this massive muscle. It's got some fibers running 45 degrees high, some running parallel to the floor, and some running 45 degrees low. So we've got to do 3 angles. The third stretch is arm is 45 degrees down or thereabout. Don't get lost in angles here, people. And lean in to get a good stretch, and the low part will hit the high. Cool. So once again, 3 to 5 minutes for the whole pec. You're going to get a decent stretch out of that. All right. Last exercise is hand behind back. For this, you need a towel. If you're really tight, get a beach towel. If you're decent like this guy, then just get a hand towel. What you want to do is grab the towel with your affected shoulder, which is his right one, in his right hand. Pull the towel up, so thus bringing the hand up the spine, and then torque the towel over your shoulder to give it a good rest, because you don't want to beat up this shoulder because it's jumped up too. A couple things you want to look for with this is getting a decent stretch to the anterior or front shoulder. You got to make sure that you're not collapsed forward like a lot of people are, and that you're holding that good posture. And the third thing is be aware of what this elbow is doing. People we see all the time are holding it out here. Now that could be a compensation because you don't have the range of motion necessary for good shoulder movement, but ultimately you want to get this guy tucked in as much as you can to get the best range of motion out of it. Once again, how long do we hold that for?
We're doing that baby for 3 to 5 minutes.
Good stuff.
Yep.
Just as a reference point, guys, you guys have to do these stretches daily, holding for 3 to 5 minutes. You can even do it a couple times a day, right?
That's what I do. Yep.
Good stuff.
Yep.
Look us up on YouTube, subscribe to us, like us on Facebook. This is our beginner shoulder range of motion mobility video. We'll be back next time with an advanced ball release video for the shoulders, and we'll be back with more for you guys to love and enjoy so you guys can have happy and healthy shoulders.
Happy and healthy, baby.